वृंदावन श्री मायापुर धाम की जय, नवदीप मायापुर धाम की जय, पुरुषोत्तम क्षेत्र जगन्नाथपुरी धाम की जय, गंगा माई जमुना माई की जय, भक्ति देवी श्रीमती तुलसी महारानी की जय, हरिनाम संकीर्तन यज्ञ की जय, ISKCON Connecticut यत्र की जय। All glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. So, we are reading from Bhagavad Gita, chapter 7, text 14.
7:14.
14. 40 or 14?
14.
Okay.
1 quarter.
So, Hare Krishna, everybody online, watching or listening. My name is Govinda Das, Prabhuji's godbrother, and visiting here in Connecticut just for a few days. So, how did you do this? You read the Sanskrit also, or?
Generally, up to you. Right now,
Generally,
whatever
right?
you like. No, generally we do recite one verse, then afterwards everybody chants. But for you, no need to do this.
Yeah, we can do it. Famous verse. Daiveshi gunamai mama maya duratya mam eva ye prapadyante mayam etam tarantite. Who knows it by heart? We know this verse by heart. Yeah? Can you chant next?
Okay. 7:14.
Daivi Esha Guna Maya Mai.
So you mean from heart recite something. Devi Hesha Gunamai Mama Maya Duratya Mami Vaye Prapadyanti Maya Mitam Tarantite.
Arnav?
Daivi Esha Gunamai Mamaya Duratya Mamevaya Prapadyante Mayam Etam Taranti Te.
दैवी एषा गुणमयी मम माया दुरत्यया मामेव ये प्रपद्यन्ते मायामेतां तरन्ति ते.
Mataji chants the best. Daiveshi gunamayi mama maya duratyaya mam eva ye prapadyante mayam etam tarantite. So the word to word is Daivi. Please repeat after me. Daivi.
Devi
Transcendental.
Transcendental.
He.
Certainly.
Esha.
This.
Gunamayi.
Consisting
of the three modes of material nature.
Consisting of three modes of material nature.
Mama. My. Maya. Energy. Duratyaya. Very difficult to overcome. Mam. Unto me. Eva. Certainly. Yea. Those who. Prapadyante. Surrender. Mayam etam. This illusory energy. Taranti. Overcome. Te. They. So, translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada. This divine energy of mind, consisting of the three modes of material nature, is difficult to overcome, but those who have surrendered unto me can easily cross beyond it. Please repeat. This divine energy of mind. Consisting of the three modes of material nature. Is difficult to overcome. But those who have surrendered unto me can easily cross beyond it.
can easily cross beyond it.
Purport: the Supreme Personality of God has innumerable energies, and all these energies are divine. Although the living entities are part of these energies and are therefore divine, due to contact with material energy, their original superior power is covered. Being thus covered by the material energy, one cannot possibly overcome its influence. As previously stated, both the material and spiritual natures, being emanations from the Supreme Personality of Godhead, are eternal. The living entities belong to the eternal superior nature of the Lord, but due to contamination by the inferior nature matter, their illusion is also eternal. The conditioned soul is therefore called Nitya Baddha, or eternally conditioned. No one can trace out the history of his becoming conditioned at a certain date in material history. Consequently, his release from the clutches of material and nature is very difficult, even though that material nature is an inferior energy, because material energy is ultimately conducted by the supreme will, which the living entity cannot overcome. Inferior material nature is defined herein as divine nature due to its divine connection and movement by the divine will. Being conducted by divine will, material nature, although inferior, acts so wonderfully in a construction and destruction of the cosmic manifestation. The Vedas confirm this as follows. Mayam tu prakritim vidyan mayinam tu maheshwaram. Although Maya, illusion, is false or temporary, the background of Maya is the supreme magician, the supreme personality of Godhead, who is Maheshwar, the supreme controller. Svetashvatara Upanishad 4.10. Another meaning of guna is rope. It is to be understood that the conditioned soul is tightly tied by the ropes of illusion. A man bound by the hands and feet cannot free himself. He must be helped by a person who is unbound. Because the bound cannot help the bound, that is pure must be liberated. Therefore, only Lord Krishna or his bona fide representative, the spiritual master, can release the conditioned soul. Without such superior help, one cannot be freed from the bondage of material nature. Devotional service or Krishna consciousness can help one gain such release. Krishna, being the Lord of illusory energy, can order this insurmountable energy to release the conditioned soul. He orders a release out of his causeless mercy on the surrendered soul and out of his paternal affection for the living entity who was originally a beloved son of the Lord. Therefore, surrender unto the lotus feet of the Lord is the only means to get free from the clutches of the stringent material nature. The words Mam, Eva are also significant. Mam means unto Krishna, Vishnu, and not Brahma or Shiva. Although Brahma and Shiva are greatly elevated and are almost on the level of Vishnu, it is not possible for such incarnations of Rajaguna, passion, and Tamaguna, ignorance, to release the conditioned soul from the clutches of Maya. In other words, both Brahma and Shiva are also under the influence of Maya. Only Vishnu is the master of Maya, therefore he alone can give release to the conditioned souls. The Vedas, Svetashvara Upanishad 3.8, confirm this in the phrase Tam Eva Viditva, or freedom is possible only by understanding Krishna. Even Lord Shiva affirms that liberation can be achieved only by the mercy of Vishnu. Lord Shiva says, Mukti Pradata Sarvesham Vishnu Eva Na Samsaya. There is no doubt that Vishnu is the deliverer of liberation for everyone. Shri Gurave Namaha Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Shrimate Ramapada Swamiti Namane Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhaktivedanta Swamiti Namane Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyamari Paschatyatrishtarine. So, Daivesha Gunamayi Maya Duratyaya Mami Vaye Prapadyante Mayamitam Tarantite. This divine energy of mine is very difficult to overcome. Yeah, this divine energy of mine, consisting of the three modes of material nature, is Guna Maya. Guna Mayi is difficult to overcome, but those who have surrendered Prapadyante unto me, Mam, can easily cross beyond it. Tarantite. So this is a very famous verse from Bhagavad Gita. The basic tenets or principles of Krishna consciousness outlined here. The living entity is an illusion, and material nature is the bondage which keeps him imprisoned in the material world, in different material bodies, different material conceptions. And he's not able to free himself from the clutches of this illusion, but by surrendering to Krishna and Krishna only, he can easily cross beyond it. So Prabhupada takes these 2 points. First, it talks about the living entity. The living entity is infinitesimal, very, 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 very tiny, insignificant, and tiny. Although part of the superior spiritual energy, due to its size, the material energy, which belongs to the inferior energy, due to its tiny size, although qualitatively higher, better, due to its tiny size, the material nature is able to cover his consciousness, and he forgets his true identity, and then he identifies with material nature. The three modes of this Gunamai, Krishna says Gunamai, this is divine energy of mine. So how can material nature be divine? Krishna says this is spiritual energy. The material nature is divine. Well, it is divine in the sense that everything is Krishna's energy. Everything is Krishna's energy, and it's, if you look at it from the material point of view, from material consciousness, we try to lord over material nature, Prabhupada says in this term. We try to exploit the resources of matter, of the material world, for our happiness, for our enjoyment. And that happiness is based on illusion, because this material energy is covering potency over our qualitatively higher consciousness, and we accept it as the absolute truth, or the absolute reality. This world is what it is nothing beyond it. This life is what it is and nothing beyond it. And we will try to make our life be happy in this material world by exploiting the senses, exploiting material nature, which really means exploiting other people, animals, other living entities, moving, non-moving, conscious, non-conscious, anything and everything and everyone, for our selfish, psychopathical pleasure seeking. And so how is this possible that the living entity qualitatively is on the same level as Krishna, yet we become illusioned by something inferior? And it is possible, as Prabhupada says it again, because due to our tiny nature, a tiny size, and is due to contact with material nature. And original superior power is covered. Being discovered by the material energy, one cannot possibly overcome its influence. So what does it mean one becomes covered over by material energy? Covered over means we cannot see out of it, and we cannot see our true nature, our spiritual nature.
Yeah.
Okay. Please excuse me. I terminated the class by accident. So let's continue about the nature of the living entity being under superior energy, and the inferior material energy covers him over. And this covering will be shown how he starts to identify with material nature. What is material nature? We have a material body. We identify with this material body, certain ethnicity, certain continent, certain skin color, different cultures. And then he goes on with his life and tries to squeeze pleasure out of life due to his identification. And it's an oxymoron because you cannot get something, satisfaction from the inferior energy. This is just not our nature that we can enjoy matter. Matter has no life. We are pleasure seeking. We are looking for a relationship. Actually, we're looking for Krishna, as you know. We're looking for Krishna, but we're trying to find that relationship with other living entities who are also in illusion. And we all have a selfish agenda. We are trying to be the enjoyer. Krishna is the supreme enjoyer. Now we have come here like a boy, like children when they leave their parents, the shelter of their parents, the wisdom and protection of their parents, and want to be independent as they grow up. And the father knows that he's rejecting my shelter at the moment, but that doesn't change the fact that he's eternally my son, he's eternally my daughter, and I will never give up on my son and daughter. So the parents to think like this. And the son may thinking, oh, I've been under the authority of my parents for so long. Now I want to be independent and a grown-up person and try out what's it like. And of course, this material life, it's expected one becomes start to fly his own plane and become a responsible adult, but not on the not on the cost of losing, one's parents. But anyway, the example is given how the father always looks at his son, even though he goes astray and completely disregards whatever he taught him. And he's suffering, he's unhappy, but out of spitefulness, out of ego, doesn't want to come back or accept, real intelligence, real wisdom, because he wants to be his own. So that is our position here in the material world. We try to compete with Krishna's superior position, and we want to be the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And it's not working out very well. If you put my picture next to Krishna's picture, I mean, rotting material bodies and insufficient intelligence. They just won't cut the mustard, you know, and won't undo the job. And although we are, like an example is given, the spark shooting out of the fire, right? As long as the spark is part and parcel of the fire, he's part of the whole, and he retains the quality of fire, even though he's just a tiny spark. But while he's in the fire, he has heat, he has light, you know, just like the whole of a fire. And as soon as the spark leaves the fire, it becomes just a dry, cold, weightless piece of ash and falls to the ground. Or not even that, just since the soul is so infinitesimal and insignificant, becomes an insignificant, unimportant person, individual. And despite all this, Krishna still loves us. Krishna is still waiting for us. You see that picture of V.G. Sharma when Gopakumar returns to the spiritual world and Krishna embraces him. And Krishna tells him that I was waiting for you lifetime after lifetime after lifetime. And I was hoping that you will take up the process of bhakti and start your sadhana and give up sinful life and get out of illusion and free yourself from material desires, from this foolish notion that you will be happy in the material world, and accept your position and come back to me and we can be friends again. But you couldn't complete your journey, you know. And then I waited for the next lifetime and you still didn't. And then finally, when you took up the process of bhakti, then I was hoping, but material desire still, you know, got the best of you and you couldn't finish it. And Krishna is like waiting for us like this, you know, life after life. What to speak of us, the living entities are a complete illusion, who have no idea who, first of all, the atheists, or they belong to one of these Kali Yuga religions, who have no understanding who Krishna is, who God is, what's his name, what does it look like, you know, how to get there, you know, who they are, the living entities are. So the material energy can cover over the intelligence, you know, consciousness of the living entity, even who's trying to take up the process of religion or God consciousness. It has to be, like, we're not sectarian. I'm not saying this is the only religion. But it has to be proper instruction, proper information. And because if you get a wrong information, you will never end up with Krishna. Of course, Krishna is merciful. He'll help everyone. So many of these Western people were saved by Prabhupada. Many of them were looking for God. Many of them were not looking for God. In fact, it is said by Bhaktivinoda Thakur that one must accumulate piles of transcendental bhakti points. Bhakti Punya Sukriti. And then he will get the association of pure devotee. And Srila Prabhupada states that to come to the pure devotional platform, one must have undergone all kind of studies of the Vedas and visiting pilgrimage places and etc., etc., studying and kind of chanting mantras. And even the Maha Mantra, you have to chant for a long time before you become eligible to seek out or have the association of a pure devotee. So the devotees asked Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada, we're not really qualified. We never performed any of these activities to have your darshan or have your association. And now here we are, and somehow we've been elevated. We don't know what happened. So how did we get it? And Srila Prabhupada told him that I created your position. I created your position. In fact, there's a story. Srila Prabhupada, was it 77, I believe, maybe earlier, but when he was ill and he was in Mumbai, he was getting ready to go. And one South Indian Brahmana had a very urgent message. He wanted to talk to Prabhupada very urgently. And so he decided that he's going to go to Mumbai and have his personal darshan and tell him this very urgent and important thing in person. And this Brahman, he was a Pakka Brahmana. He followed Brahminical standards. And in those days, this is 50 years ago, it was unheard of for a Brahmana to get on an aeroplane. It was just not something you would do because whatever it is, I don't know. And but despite breaking the rules, he thought the message was more important than not breaking the rules, and he decided to break the rules. He traveled there to see Prabhupada, and when he came to see Prabhupada, they told him that Srila Prabhupada, Swamiji, you have installed your murti in Vrindavan on the altar next to Gaura Nitai. Your guru is there next to Lord Chaitanya, and you're next to Lord Nityananda. But your Acharya Swarup, your living body is still here in the material world. You haven't passed away yet. And the usual procedure is after the spiritual master leaves, you install his murti on the altar or anywhere. And because of this, you're accepting all the karma of your disciples deposited in that murti. And that murti is same as you. And that's why you're getting sick. That's why you're dying. And Srila Prabhupada says, yes, I know. I purposefully installed my murti on the altar, so they will deposit all their nonsense, their sinful karma, and then they can chant Hare Krishna. See that? And so this is the motive of Vaishnava, Paradukha Dukhi. Was that Krishna Das in Gaura Leela? And he would take the remnants of all the Vaishnavas. Was it Krishna Das, his name?
I think so. He was Brahmachari and another person was Brahmachari.
I could be
Yes,
wrong, but
yes, Prabhuji, Krishnadas.
Krishna Das, thank you, Mataji. So then you know the story, right? He was taking the remnants of all the Vaishnavas. But so I'm not even wanted to say that. Who was the devotee who said that he will take he was ready to take all the karma of all the living entities, all their sinful reactions, but let them be delivered.
Vasudeva Datta.
Vasudeva Datta, yes. See, so this is the mode of the Vaishnavas. So I don't even have to tell you the story. It looks like everybody well versed and he knows it. So we all know the story, but this is the mood of the Vaishnavas. And in early 80s, Rameshwar Swami gave a class in New York City about book distribution. Not earlier, sorry, in the 70s. And in his class, he stated that book distribution is in the mood of the gopis. So now you have to understand, because Prabhupada cautioned so much about the danger of sahajaism, that the devotees were extremely cautious. I think too much cautious. And there's one extreme is you become a sahaja, another extreme is you're boycotting everything, because back then if you said gopi or radharani, then they labeled you a sahaja immediately. And they were so after class, how could you say this, and there's gopis, and books is preaching, gopis is preaching, and this is Prabhupada's desire. So Rameshwar Maharaj, he wrote to Srila Prabhupada asking if this is correct, because he heard it from him. And Srila Prabhupada wrote back, yes, it is correct. Book distribution is in the mood of the gopis, it's in the mood of the Brajabasis. And that's what we have to understand. What is a Brajabasi? Brajabasi feels just like a Vaishnava, like Prabhupada described a Vaishnava, feels no distress or concern about his own suffering. He can tolerate it because he has Krishna. But he cannot see other living entities suffer. And that is his suffering. He's a para dukkha dukhi. And the gopis, they always try to see the gopis, the manjaris, they always push Radharani forward, not themselves. And that is the mood of the Brajabhas, not just the gopis, the gopas, the elderly ladies and neighboring ladies and elders. They're always concerned about others, not themselves. And therefore, in principle, yes, this is exactly in the mood of the Brajabasis, book distribution. We trying to deliver all living entities, or whomever we can, by preaching the philosophy of Bhagavad-Gita. Daivesha gunamai mama maya durati. Yes, this difficult material energy is impossible to overcome. But if you just surrender to Krishna, Krishna says here, then you can easily cross beyond it. Easily. And living in big cities like New York City, I used to distribute books in New York City. And it was true. I mean, I just call New York City Sin City, because it's so sinful and so crazy and so filthy. And people have gone just insane. They've gone insane, they're mad, like the last days of the Roman Empire, and Sodom and Gomorrah and all these things. So it's a similar place. Yet by surrendering to the process given by Srila Prabhupada, I could stand above this whole material energy without being touched by it. Just like an example is given, a lotus is in the water, right? But the lotus is completely dry. It lives in the water, yet it's not wet. So therefore, when we surrender to Krishna, we can come out of this illusion of bodily identification, bodily consciousness, identifying with the material world, whatever it is or wherever it is, and whoever our body is, which is not a whoever, is just matter. Our soul, our identity is in the spiritual world, yet to be discovered. And it's a journey. And to get there, we have to get the association of a pure devotee. And we have Srila Prabhupada and so many of his followers, but definitely Srila Prabhupada as the founder, Acharya, the compass regarding any spiritual questions or principles. We have our compass, Srila Prabhupada, and he gives us the direction. And following the process given by him and accepting the mercy he's giving us, you can also easily cross beyond this material energy. Are there any questions? Anybody has any questions you can discuss now, or any discussion?
What particularly makes it so easy to cross over Maya, as it says in this verse?
What makes it so? What is the particular?
Yeah, it says he says surrendered, but what type of surrender, and what does surrender actually mean here?
Tadvirihi pranipatina pariprasnina sevaya upadakshante jnanam jnanina spatadarsana. Well, that's the first step of surrender, isn't it? I mean, first we have Shraddha, then we have Sadhu Sangha. So that's the first step of surrender. Sadhu Sangha generally means accepting a spiritual master. And then the spiritual master will engage us in bhajana kriya, the next stage. And when we start bhajana kriya, we come to the next point of anartha nivritti. By the performance of bhajan, the anarthas will be cleansed, and then we can attain the stage of nishtha, steadiness. From nishtha comes ruchi, taste, etc., etc. So surrendering is an eternal principle, but how fast it will act, it really depends on the intensity of our surrender. So the particular is you have to surrender. Krishna asking you to surrender. Svaradaram parityajamam ekam saranam raja. Surrender unto me exclusively. Not any other process. So he gives us so many details are given. How and so, and then read Rupa Goswami's Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Vaidhi Bhakti, 64 principles to get a strong foundation of our Bhakti creeper. Then become a little cleansed, then we get a little idea, hopefully after some time, and some inclination, some desire to go back to dance with Krishna. Right? Srila Prabhupada as George Harrison. George Harrison was a very sincere person. He was a very good, very useful preacher, and he made so many devotees. But he was involved with sex, drugs, and rock and roll, and at least in the beginning. And Prabhupada told him immediately, George, would you like to dance with Krishna? So at one point, Prabhupada expects us to come to that point. Not artificially, but if we follow the process, if we sincerely follow the process, we should get there naturally, without artificially trying to endeavor for it. Is that what you were asking, Prabhu?
Yes.
What is the particular? I guess it's the surrender process. Now, what is the surrender process? That's a broad topic. That's what we study every day. And we're still not there, so we have to study more. And if you think that we have perfected it, then we are fools. There's always more and more to study. And even in the spiritual world, we learn more how to please Krishna, and it's an ever-expanding art and adventure. But the underlying, what is the underlying principle? Tadvidahi pranipatana priprashna, that is submission and service and inquiry. Just like Arjuna at the end of the Bhagavad Gita, now I have accepted everything you have said, and I want to become your disciple. He surrenders. I accept you as the supreme authority, and whatever you tell me, I will do. And I am your inferior, you're my superior. That underlying attitude, that is the attitude of surrender. I guess that is the particular aspect.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Yeah, Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Can I
Yes,
ask a question?
sure.
Okay. Thank you, Prabhuji, for a wonderful class. We know that Maya is very strong. We know that Maya is like, external energy of the Lord. But we being in this world, we are so much comes under her influence, then, we know that we are like part and parcel of Krishna knowingly, but still, we get so much influenced by Maya. Though like we're practicing, we get the allurements around us, we get attracted, we get diverted, distracted. So how can we become more serious? I know the being like surrender process and all that, but how constantly we can be cautious, careful, how we can be
Well, the best process is chanting Hare Krishna. That is the Yuga Dharma for Kali Yuga. And not just 16 rounds and not just, unintentionally and inattentively, but as much as possible and even more. And when you do that, you will be more Krishna conscious than material world, material life conscious. And that is the process. If you just, so it's a simple answer. You just have to do it. If you don't do it, then you can go on talking about this way, that way, and make everything very complicated. But it is a fact when you chant a lot, chant 32 rounds a day, let's say, then you will be above material nature. It works. It works. Definitely works. And you find not just solace, but find joy in chanting. Find material world pointless and meaningless. And it's not like we suddenly have to run to a cave like the Babaji's over there and chant 3 lakhs of Nam or something. No, we have responsibilities. I'm also father. We have our families, children. We have responsibilities, but these things are external. But they're not external if you can associate, associate them with Krishna consciousness. Radha Krishna Pranam or Jugala Kishore, right? Everything I have belongs to you, Krishna, and I'm simply serving them as the caretaker. And they're simply serving me as they're my caretaker. So we care for each other as, you're my Krishna's property, my children are Krishna's property. My wife is Krishna's property. My wife thinking I am Krishna's property. Like that. Externally, we have to carry on because your bodies will be here. And people depend on us for their life. And we can't just run away and do our bhajan. It's like Arjuna tried to run away. No, we have to do our duty, but at the same time, we cultivate Krishna consciousness. Best way to cultivate it is chanting more and chanting more and chanting more. If there's no kirtan available, chant on your japa. Listen to kirtan. Listen to on the radio. I always listen to YouTube is full of lectures, very good lectures. Ayendra Prabhu's kirtans there. Ayendra Prabhu also speaks very, very strong, very deep philosophical realizations that blows your mind. There's so many good speakers there. Amarendra Prabhu. I like to listen to Amarendra Prabhu. Then you can listen to Chaitanya Charitamrita, Chaitanya Bhagavat. The whole Krishna book narration is there. It's very, very nice. You go to work, let's say, you have to drive. Like Ramananda Prabhu, you have to drive every day. You listen every day around on the way. It's so nice. Or you chant, I don't know what you some people have to chant by their will, you know. Whatever you do, just make your little time you get Krishna conscious. If there is a will, there's a way.
Yes,
So
Prabhu.
if there's a will, there's a way. I mean, we get so many of these questions. How do I get the taste for chanting? By chanting, of course, by chanting. Nothing else. It's not a prize you have to win. No, you have to do it. You have to work for it, and then you get it. If you don't do it, you don't work, you will not get it. As simple as it is.
You reminded me of a phrase Srila Prabhupada said, right? When one of his devotees asked, why is Maya so strong? I think he said, why is your effort so weak? Or something to that.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you for a wonderful answer. Thank you.
Thank you, Mataji. Nice question. Is there anybody else on YouTube listening?
I'm just recording.
Hmm?
I'm recording this.
Are you recording? People will listen later. I see.
I will post it.
Okay. Okay, anybody else has any question? All right, then we'll finish here. I feel like speaking more. See, once you get into Krishna consciousness, it just becomes, especially when you talk to other devotees and you start churning the nectar, becomes sweeter and sweeter, and that's the goal. And association of the devotees is the best way to cultivate Krishna consciousness. That's why Sankirtanam is more powerful than japa.
Yes.
In one, when we were in Mayapur, and he says, he stopped the kirtan and he starts speaking, and he says, in Kali Yuga, you have to get fired up. He says, because the modes of pure nature so strong. I mean, he says, and he says in Satya Yuga, the Yuga Dharma, the process for self-realization, was silent meditation. But in Kali Yuga, you have to get fired up. Because why? Because Maya Durateya, this is why. And what did he say? And he says, when you chant your japa, I wanted to say this regarding the association of the words. When you chant your japa, it's like taking a pill, because we are materially diseased. We have a disease condition, so we have to take the medicine. Misery, right? Rock candy for jaundice, the sweet medicine. So we take the pill of japa. But when you do kirtan, it's like an injection right into the bloodstream, because we are so sick.
Yeah.
We are so sick, we need really the strongest medicine. We should be taken to the ER, emergency care.
Yes, Prabhuji.
We should try to understand. We need the injection. It's not japa meager. It's almost like a meager attempt if you are not strong enough spiritually. But when you come to the association of devotees who are strong and serious, and you do kirtan with them, then we immediately feel uplifted. And we also become strong, just like them. That's the power of Sankirtanam. And that is the Yuga Dharma. That is Yuga Dharma. So japa is also Yuga Dharma, but out of the two, Sankirtan is more powerful, because then you get the power of the other Vaishnavas, and we mutually benefit from each other's association. Okay, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
May I ask a question?
Yes, sure.
Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Jai, Dandavat.
Like when chanting or kirtan, how to develop a strong taste for a holy name so that we continue doing, just not the 16 rounds and we want to go more, and how that taste will come.
Well, that's what I try to explain now, that how to get taste for chanting. The only way is by chanting. Okay, if you're chanting and there's no taste, then you have to chant more. Rupa Goswami gives the example of a patient who is suffering from jaundice, pilia, right?
Yes.
And you have to take misri, rock candy, and rock candy is sweet, it's sugar. But one who is suffering from jaundice, it tastes bitter. Everything tastes bitter. Even sugar tastes bitter. Say taking a medicine which is sugar, but it tastes bitter. But by regularly and constantly, and in increased dosage, increased quantities, you take raw candy, it will slowly kill the disease, and then you will start the real taste of jaundice. Raw candy, sorry, which is sweet, it's not bitter. And we see this material world now, oh my God, it's a terrible place, I hate it. I'm going to commit suicide. People come to this, or just become a hedonistic sense enjoyer. Or nihilism, it's all become a psychopath. And you come to this conclusion, because ultimately there's no God, there's no rules, there's no good, there's no bad. It's just all one. There's no meaning to life. So this is the material disease. This is where people end up. Those are actually intelligent that think about these things. So we have to take the medicine, and then suddenly this terrible material world, because Krishna says here, Daivi Shagunamaya. Daivi means divine, superior, not supramundane, extraordinary. So the superior spiritual energy, my spiritual energy, high spiritual energy, which the material world is a spiritual energy. Yes, it is spiritual energy in a sense. It's coming from Krishna. And when we utilize everything in Krishna's service, even in this material world, then it becomes heaven, because we utilize it in the proper way, where it's supposed to be. This is not bad, and now we turn it into something good. I mean, Prabhupada says how to make a good use of a bad bargain. The best use of a bad bargain. So it's a little bit like that, but actually when we do that, it's not just the bad bargain turns completely around. But we just have to, so my answer to you have to chant more, And if your taste is not coming, that's due to our material disease. And when you understand that the disease is very severe, then you have to increase the dosage. If you don't increase the dosage, then it's going to be, the disease will be persisting, very persistent. This material energy will not leave you alone. It will not give up on you. It will keep you here. It's like Prabhupada says, Nitya Baddha. We have been going for almost time immemorial. It's impossible to trace out. And actually, it's even a wrong question. The fall of the jiva. How and when did we fall down? And it's a wrong question, because it's not. This is not in the time plane. Like it didn't happen at one time. In the spiritual world, there's no time anyway. It's only in just a material question. But anyway, coming back to the subject, you have to increase the dosage, Mataji. You have to increase the dosage.
Thank you, Prabhuji. I appreciate. Thank you.
Yes.
Hare Krishna.
I hope it helps, and I hope you can.
And also take it for the prescription, right?
Sorry?
Not only should we increase the dosage, but we should also take it per the prescription. The prescription
According to the prescription.
yeah, because if somebody
Yes.
gives you a medicine and say take it every 4 hours, and we take it every 10 hours, it's not going to be effective, right?
Yeah.
So if we
Yes.
chant, but we're not hearing, if we are just mechanically chanting, if you're not doing it per the prescription, we are not going to make progress. Also.
Very, very good point, Mataji.
But
Therefore, we are
isn't it
we've
that,
given so many
which is
books.
my problem. So I know I'm not doing it for the prescription. So.
but isn't it that, whether we have the taste or no taste, but Prabhupada said still just continue to chant?
Yes. Even if it's offensive chanting, we have to continue chanting till it becomes, more
I
pure.
remember one story when Prabhupada was in New York and was preaching to all these down yogis or something, and there was one lady, old lady, she said, I close my eyes when I chant. And I see this purple light. And Prabhupada told her, that's all right. You keep chanting, it will go away.
Yes.
We might have so many misconceptions or ideas, how and what, but just chant the Hare, and then everything will fall in place. Everything will fall in place. Prabhupada says even a child can, take part in this chanting.
Someone also asked Srila Prabhupada, should we think about Krishna? Should we think about, Vrindavan or something like that also? And Srila Prabhupada said, just here.
Yes. Because somebody told him that, I read that question regarding like this, that how do we bring the mind back? My mind is wandering here, my mind wandering there, and up and down and left and right, future activities, my plans, and she said, and I said, and then he said, and all these things, mind is going like this. And Srila Prabhupada, how do we control the mind, focus on the chanting? And Prabhupada said, what is the question of mind? There's nothing to do with mind. Simply hear it. Listen.
Yes.
Listen. And when you listen, the mind will slowly become occupied. The mind will take up the chanting. We do kirtan many times, and people go home and they hear the kirtan in their head. Yes, this happens a lot because the mind becomes occupied. Because you hear it, and it takes over. It fills up the space. Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, fill your mouth with the holy name. Like a gulab jamun, just stuff your face with gulab jamun something. So you have to fill your mouth with the holy name until there's nothing else left, and it fully occupies your consciousness, your senses, your tongue. Then we're on the right path, and we continue doing that, and then surely all the different stages will develop from the holy name naturally. Holy name is Krishna, none different from Krishna. But according to the depending on the purity, we will realize that. But it's a very good point, Mataji. We have to do it according to prescription, what to do, what to avoid, etc., etc. 10 offenses, and then subtle offenses, etc., etc. But all these things will be taken care of just by chanting. And what we have to chant, not just chant any mantra, we chant the Hare Krishna mantra. This is the mantra that was given to us by Lord Chaitanya, but our Guru Varg, my disciplic succession. Yeah.
And also, Sri Prabhupada has given the minimum dose, 16 rounds.
Yes.
Because we can't take higher dose, so that's why he has given. minimum dose, and we have to increase.
Lord Chaitanya would not accept invitation for lunch, prasadam, from any Vaishnava who said he was not a lakpati.
Oh,
Lak means
minimum.
they count money in India as lakhs and crores. Crores is 10 million. Lakh is 100,000. So crorepati means one who has crores, and lakpati who has 100,000. So, but in this sense, Lord Chaitanya would think that anyone who doesn't chant a lakh name, 100,000 names, he cannot invite me for the house. So 16 rounds is actually a meager attempt. But even though Srila Prabhupada says you chant 16 rounds purely, and you will go back home back to God in this lifetime. This is something almost impossible, but it is possible if you do it. But the 16 rounds have to be pure. That's the catch. That's the catch. And you do that, you follow the principle that Prabhupada gives his promise. He gives his promise. Anything else? Anybody? All right. You finish it?
One shakal.
One shakal.